Bring the Huddle. I'm your host, Daron Basmadjian. With me this week is Paul Lapierre. Now, last week you saw we had Leo Gervais on, had kind of the Law and Order episode. This week we're taking a look back at what just happened in the finals, and I wanted to bring on one of the champions, and one of those champions is Paul Lapierre, who won with the Rough Riders in Division 2. There we go. All right. So first, Paul, we'll begin at the beginning. Talk to me about how you came into this league, what season it was, who you came in with.
I came in, I was playing tackle football with Rajdi, and at that time he was playing flag for the Demons. I believe it was the spring season that was going on at that time. And he said that Gino was looking for another guy, so he brought me along. I joined the team that day. Carm was the quarterback at that time, so I just basically filled in. I was snapping, and then we actually went all the way to the finals that year and beat the Kings. So yeah, no, it was a good start. Good start for my season. Yeah.
Yeah, good way to come into the league, obviously,
Sure.
And it was a sign of things to come because you obviously had a lot of success since then. You said that you were snapping there. Obviously, you've made your name as a snapper in this league. A lot of people talk about you as a surefire Hall of Famer whenever you're eligible in terms of those seasons. What do you think it's about your game that has allowed you to succeed so much as a snapper?
Well, as a snapper, I find most defenses are designed to stopping the other guys, and they tend to forget about the center a lot. So the most important thing for me was just stay disciplined and make sure you're in the right spot, make sure you're that safety valve for the quarterback, and go from there. A lot of times the defenses are just disguised to really leave the center wide open, mainly I guess because they have the rusher blocking that passing lane. But I thought it was pretty easy at first when I was playing center. I was like, no one's really covering me. Then I guess the word got out that you kind of have to stop that because it's just a little too easy when you're throwing 5-yard hooks right down the middle of the field.
Now, obviously, like I said, you made your name as a snapper, but at some point, a couple of years ago, you decided to try out playing quarterback. Had you ever played quarterback before?
I played 1 year in tackle football when I was 15, 16 years old. And I knew I had a decent arm, but it was always about reading the defense. That was my biggest problem. So I said, let's put a Division III team in, start off slow, see where it goes from there. I had just became friends with Champ at the time. Didn't know that he was that good at football when we brought him on our team. So we ended up with a nice powerhouse team. Did well for my first season. I mean, I got quarterback of the year. And
we lost
2 games of regular season, and we lost one. The last game was the semifinals. We lost by 1 point against the Wildcats, and they ended up winning it all. So
that's not a bad first season at quarterback.
No, not bad.
So how do you think you've improved since then at quarterback?
Mainly just play calling. At first, I was sending probably too many people in the same area, which you just end up covering yourself. And I realized the play calling was a little different than tackle. You don't have as much room to work with, so you really have to make sure your guys are spaced out properly. And the hardest thing, I guess, that got me from where I started and where I am now is just mainly looking at the defense more than my offense. Looking at how they react and where they're going and throwing the ball to where they're not.
So more adjusting to what they're doing.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, like I said, you've played snapper, and now you've become one of the top players at quarterback as well. Do you feel that playing one position influenced how you look at the other? Like, for example, when you started off at quarterback, did you say, well, I like my snapper to do this because I know it works for me?
A bit, but at the same time, I mean, you don't find too many 6'6" centers, so it's like I had to work with what I had. Everybody runs their routes differently, so it's tough at first to get people on the same page. I find once you have a core of guys though, and you're able to work with them more than say 3-4 games, then it makes it a lot easier to go from there.
And then on the other hand, how about like when you started playing quarterback, did you see something that as a snapper that you decided, oh well, I never realized this was hard for a quarterback to do, to find me? Did that change your game in any sense?
As a snapper?
Yeah, after you started playing quarterback.
Well, it probably just gave me more patience. I used to probably blow up a little too soon when I wasn't getting the ball, when I felt like I wasn't being used, where maybe some of those times it was due to the passing lanes being blocked off by tall rushers. I've had my trouble in the past with tall rushers, so I could see probably where I wasn't getting the ball, and I understand now why I wasn't getting it at those times.
So a more patient,
Yeah.
mature, relaxed, calm.
I try.
Lapierre. All right. Now let's talk about past disappointments in the playoffs. Obviously, you started off with a championship in your first season, which is great. Everybody wishes they could do that.
For sure.
But then after that, you guys kind of, you guys had success, but it almost seemed like a lot of your teams were doing great in the regular season, doing solid in the playoffs, but just falling short at that time.
We definitely were falling short, and I don't know which one hurts more, losing against the Wildcats that first season, or the next season when I was with the Rough Riders and we lost in the winter against the Wolfpack. No, was it Wolfpack? Yeah, Wolfpack, yeah. And we lost to them on the final play with a drop pass in the end zone. So, yeah, I would say those are definitely the two toughest losses I had to deal with.
And do you find that those losses? Oh yeah, go ahead.
Actually, no, I'm sorry. I mentioned those two, but there's another one that I have to mention because Carm will probably be mad. But the year we were clicking on it every which way with the Demons, and had the undefeated season. We had everything going, and we fell short against the Express. They pulled up the upset, so hats off to them. Good job, guys.
All right, well, a classy way of looking at it right now. It's easier when you're a couple of years old,
exactly.
I'm sure. But now, speaking of those big losses, do you find that they made you a better quarterback? Did they change the way you approach the game at all?
Yeah, they got me thinking more on take every play, take one play at a time, and make every play count. Where there's sometimes you'll think an extra point isn't that big of a deal, especially because they don't keep stats for any of the converts, which maybe they should in the future, who knows, but yeah, just not taking plays off, making sure every play it like it was your last play, and things should work out for you in the end.
All right, now, like we said, so some of your teams fell short, whether you were playing quarterback or sometimes when you were playing in the spring, in the Division A. Obviously, you guys had a couple of setbacks in a row. Excuse me. What do you think your teams were lacking? That you gained going into this season, that it all worked out somehow?
Well, I mean, we're all new to the game at first, so I'd say experience definitely was something we're lacking. And just continuity, just having the same players there every week is nearly impossible. Till maybe the last two seasons we did okay, but even then we still had to juggle around. I guess you get used to it and you learn how to juggle teams around a little bit more when every week you're like, okay, we're 7 guys and the game's about to start.
So again, it's always about adjusting.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Finding you on the sideline to rush for us. Whatever we have to do, we're
playing both ways.
Yes.
Like Mark Champagne's jersey.
Definitely.
Did not look out of place at all, right? Now, okay, let's get into winter 2011. Obviously, this is the reason why we brought you here is because you won a championship in that season. You had 2 very close games in the playoffs to lead off. You had the Wolverines. That was a really tough game, and then if it wasn't for a last-second touchdown to Rushdie, things were looking pretty grim on your sideline. So talk to me about that just watching them come back, or like the way they handled that drive, and then finally for you to be able to connect with Rushdie on the touchdown.
I think the biggest thing about that drive was what they had to do beforehand, because they were up by 3 points at that time, marching. They had the ball on our 5-yard line, 1st and goal. They went 3 plays, incomplete. 4th play, we had a pass interference call. So we had to do it all over again from the 1-yard line. And we stopped them another 4 plays. So we essentially stopped them 7 plays in a row within 5 yards. So, I mean, on my part, I said if my defense is going to fight that hard and do everything they can to get back the ball for us, we got to make sure we do our thing and score. He wasn't my first read on that play. I was really just trying to pick up maybe half the yards. And I saw him go post, and he bit, and I knew he was going double move, so I just let it fly with my busted thumb and all, and it was actually first time I hit him on a post corner. I was struggling all season long with that, so.
It's not a bad time to hit it, though.
Yeah, no, I picked a good time to do so.
Definitely. And then the next game against the Gman, you guys had a big lead, big lead. And then it looked over, we all thought Gman were playing with no passion, no heart, and then second half turned on a dime, and then you guys held on.
Yeah, that was the one thing. I guess we kind of took our foot off the pedal in that game. We were very prepared. We knew exactly how they were going to play us on defense. We knew exactly what to attack. We went a lot of trips to overload their zone, because they basically kept the zone the whole time. All season long, I've heard they never really changed their defense. They said, why change it if it always works? So I found a way to try to beat that defense. It worked well, but good teams like that always find a way to get back into games. They fought really well in the second half. They adjusted well, and even then we came up short a couple of drives, but we did enough to move the ball so they didn't have eat up some clock where they essentially only had one play left at the end of the game to win it, and Narek actually almost came down with it. So yeah, it was a nail biter. It was quite the stressing game.
And then to contrast from that to getting into the finals, obviously there was all the talk about your thumb. It was Thumbgate, as Mokan dubbed it. How bad, now that we're out of it, how bad was the injury? How much did it affect your ability to throw?
The very first game that it happened against the Wolverines, which was the last game of the season, it was killing me. I can't lie. It was hard to throw a ball. I couldn't even hold on to a ball properly. By that game, by the playoff game against the Wolverines, my thumb felt fine. It was good. It was healing back. It was just anytime I would bang it around, it'd be back to its original injury. So,
and there were a couple occasions where the rusher kind of had some contact with it too.
I got some contact today again, so it's something I'm starting to deal with. Maybe I'll wear a metal sleeve or something so the rusher.
That way the rusher pays the price too.
Yeah, possibly.
All right. So obviously we talked about the thumb, and let's talk about the finals now. That game, you guys, it was a little bit sloppy in the first half.
Yeah, I
think
it was more jitters and everything. You guys do a really good job at hyping up the games and getting all the Thumbgate talk and everything going. So it hypes up the game, and I guess it gets you thinking about it. So when you're actually there and you're starting that game, there's a bit of nerves to get through.
I'm sure it didn't help that two of your star players showed up 5 10
yeah,
minutes into the game.
MVP of the final showed up late, and Maddie decided to show up late too. They're both great guys, just maybe need to set their clocks back a little bit.
All right, and then we'll go into some quick questions here. Just quick answers. So who's your favorite player to play with?
Favorite player to play with would be Rajni.
Yeah, okay. A favorite team to play against?
Montreal's Finest.
Why, just quickly?
Keyshawn, mainly, and Kareem Bennett. Both those guys, they make it a lot of fun for me. They talk a lot. I like to respond to them, and they play physical, which I like. I don't like guys that shy away from contact. And it allows us to play a different style of game where if we're playing maybe a team where they weren't so physical, refs kind of don't let it go, but they know how we play against each other, so they maybe let more go. That's more my type of game.
So best against best, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that kind of game. All right. Who's the player that annoys you the most? Who really gets under your skin? Who makes Paul Lapierre just kind of lose it every now and then?
I rarely play against them, but I actually got the chance to play him today, and I would say Jamal Pierre gets under my skin the most. It's why I probably try to keep him on my team so he doesn't have a chance to do so. But he still tends to get under my skin even when he's on my team. So. Yeah, I would have to say Jamal Pierre.
All right. So then I guess you'll keep trying to keep him on your team.
Yes, definitely. I hope so. I hope so.
You play QB, you play snapper. Which position do you prefer?
Well, I also play receiver too.
The big two.
Out of the big two, it really depends. I really like the quarterback aspect of controlling the team, controlling the game flow, and you feel more involved. But at the same time, receiving's my spot, and I always feel like I can help the team the most by being in that spot. So I can't really choose which one I prefer more. They both have their ups and downs.
All right. You mentioned a couple of the losses. I would like you to pick the most disappointing loss you've had in FBF.
In the spring season, where I was playing with the Alcoholics, we were in first place throughout the season. Finished, I think, 8-2 or 7-3. We're going in the playoffs strong. Got past team with what was his name?
Was it
Redemption, there you go. Perfect, you read my mind. Redemption. We got through Redemption, and then we faced the Kings in the semis, I believe. And Rajdi was injured.
Yeah.
And
he's calling the defense.
I was calling him the Algerian Belichick, is what I called him. And he made it tough. They played a great defense, and everything that could have went wrong that game did for us. From drop passes, deflections for picks. Yeah. It all went wrong. That was probably the biggest butt kicking and disappointment in my Flag Plus career so far.
All right. Now you've played with some very talented quarterbacks. Who's your favorite quarterback to snap to? I know most of the time.
Favorite to snap to is Benny Goodfriend.
Okay.
By far. With Carm, I didn't snap too much with him. I play more wide receiver with Carm, and Carm has a different style when he's throwing to his center than Benny does. I find Benny gives me more opportunity to make a play even if I'm covered. He places it high where I need it, and I feel I'm more involved in the offense when I have Benny as a quarterback when I'm snapping.
So you'd like to see Benny return to quarterback at some point?
Yeah,
I think it's missing from this league right now.
Yes, if he can get his butt off the couch, that'd be nice. But no, his butt is off the couch. He's a very busy man.
Yeah, of course. It is a time-consuming thing. FPF, we won't lie. All right, last question I'm going to ask you. We'll get you out of here on this one. Most satisfying win for you? You've had a couple championships, obviously. You've had some excellent seasons. What is the most satisfying win for you?
Most satisfying win. Had a couple of good ones, but I would have to say getting past the Gman just last winter and going to the finals. We faced the Gman a couple of times before, and they've had our numbers, so it was nice to get past that hump. I'd say, yeah, the finals was a good game, and it wasn't as close as it could have been possibly, but I believe the real finals was that game against the Gman.
And that's what everyone was pretty much saying during the season, and it ended up being a nail biter. But congratulations on you guys for pulling out the win there in the finals. Congratulations, Paul Lapierre, on your championship one last time. After this, we'll put it in the history books and see what you can do this season.
Much appreciated.
Thanks for coming on. Obviously, if he looks a little bit sweaty on your camera, it's because
played a game. And
he just played a game. He's got another one, and it is an absolute sauna up here. So you'll forgive him for that. And thanks a lot for coming on.
No problem. My pleasure.
And we will see you here next week on Breaking the Huddle.